you like the red pants? Thank you very much for coming tonight. It's great to have everybody here again, and if you came last week and you weren't able to get a seat, I'm awfully glad you came back, or that you told others about it. I'm just going to introduce the program and then we'll get going. Art, for me at least, over the past 40 years, has been about making marks. Drawing the details of an iris onto a sheet of lovely Strathmore drawing paper in my 2B or 5B graphite pencils, using a newspaper page and then rubbing some charcoal into it and erasing parts of it, or making my brush marks with oil paints on a canvas to create a giant pear. Sometimes I use finely drawn lines on a zinc etching plate to create a bunch of tulips after inking the plate, damping the paper, and pulling the first proof from the plate. Or making cuts and removing gouges from a piece of linoleum to simulate the clouds in Ontario a few years ago. I never tire of looking for new materials and new media to use for my mark making. And I can experience and find the potential for art just about anywhere, anytime. I might find it, for instance, on a sidewalk drawn in chalks, or in the detail of a piece of beautiful fabric, in how the light is reacting to the edge of a water glass on a table in front of me at a restaurant. I've also seen it as First Nation pictographs on the shores of Lake Superior, where I grew up in Ontario. And sometimes it's ever so briefly written in the sand by a bird, or a sea urchin, or a person here in Oceanside. Whatever I see, I store somewhere, and it all has a way of presenting itself back to me, gradually, and sometimes at the most unexpected moments. Just recently, I've been discovering art and the potential for it all over again, and I've been learning how to make some new kinds of marks on the screen of my new iPad 4. Wherever I'm putting them, every single mark made counts. Sometimes, omitting a mark is just as important to me as making it. Every mark I make moves me from nothing to something, and I still never know when I'm starting out, even yet, after all this time, exactly how many marks, or erasures, or smudges, or layers it's going to take for me to reach that mysterious there, to get myself from nowhere to somewhere, to make something that I will want to show somebody else. Before I begin at the iPad and Dave at the piano, I'll give you just a brief outline of what it is that we're going to do here over the next hour. And then we'll take a look at some works and how they all fit together, and hopefully I will illustrate what I've just been saying about the process for me. First of all, I'd like to show and demonstrate in a rather simplified form why it is that this new-to-me piece of technology has become such an incredible resource in my studio in just the past 3 months. You will see me painting live on the large screen from the iPad. Secondly, I also want to share some visual references with you about my own history as an artist since starting at the age of 22 in 1972. You do the math, I'm 63. And I'll show you how that connects to this new and very different approach to how I'm making new marks. I'd also like to show you a little bit of how I've been studying from some masters of art in order to explore and learn more about the possibilities of this new medium. And finally, I'll be showing you some of the most recent works where my aim is to capture light and colored reflections on silver and other surfaces. I'll show you a few examples of some recently printed and framed hard copies of my iPad finger paintings and put them on display here on the easel so that you can have a look at them when we finish.